Time to get things moving on this Friday morning. So I'd like to, first of all, my name's Darren and I'm chairing the session. And I'd like to welcome you all this Friday morning. Always quite a tough session, probably even harder than the post-lunch sessions. But thank you for coming. So it's time to get going, and I'd like to introduce our first talk. We've got two speakers. Our first speaker is Courtney Tregurtha-Nairn, who's a Biodata Information Advisor at Horizons Regional Council, and helping her is Nigel Sharman, who is the founder of Old Man's Beard Free Wellington and a developer at EcoNet. Their talk is two sides of the same coin, activating community and council to bust weeds. Thank you. So that just...
Yes, just clicks.
That's forward.
Oh, yeah, cool.
And then back. Sorry.
Kia ora, I'm Courtney Tregurtha-Nairn. I'm a Biodata Information Advisor for Horizons Regional Council, and I work with both biodiversity and biosecurity teams.
Yeah, and I'm Nigel, and the beard on my photo isn't real. It's actually old man's beard. Yep. Yeah, so as we all know, the weed problem is huge. Councils can't tackle it on their own, but neither can communities. So how can councils use the community to report and control weeds? And conversely, how can the community get the support and empowerment they need to tackle those weeds? How do we all get visibility into what each other is doing? So in this talk, we're going to show you how we're providing visibility with our respective projects.
So the Woolly Busters campaign started in May last year and is led by Horizons Regional Council. And it aims to target residents of Palmerston North and Fielding to identify and report sightings of woolly nightshade, which is an invasive weed prioritised as an eradication species in our regional pest management plan. We chose to include iNaturalist as a biosecurity tool due to its accessibility, ease of use, and ability to enable citizen science. So we created a dedicated iNaturalist project with the aim to build a community of woolly busters within the urban zones. We also created a dedicated page on the Horizons website, which hosts an interactive web map, information about woolly nightshade, and links to weed busters, and a video featuring Mike the Weed Wizard. And so, without getting too deep into the weeds about woolly nightshade, here is a map of the Palmerston North area. Those areas in red are adult woolly nightshade sites, and those two larger areas down the bottom there, shown in the drone and helicopter images, are larger infestations. And because of these larger populations, they are key source areas for dispersal pathways. And you can see, due to their proximity, we're seeing new sites popping up in the urban areas nearby. And this is exactly why we need public eyes on the ground for early detection, because we can't monitor every corner of the city ourselves, so we need the residents to help.
Yeah, and EcoNet is a charitable trust set up to provide tools to conservation volunteers. So we provide free weed mapping solutions to any community group. Groups using EcoNet include STAMP, the moth plant group for the Society Totally Against Moth Plant, who work in the Upper North Island clearing moth plant, Old Man's Beard Free Wellington, and many more. We're using iNaturalist to source some of the data, and people can also put the data straight into the ArcGIS system. And then we provide maps and field maps and dashboards of the weeds. Yeah, so communities really need that council support so they can understand both the rules for working on the land and approval to work on that land, both with councils and other landowners. Training and certification around the tools and herbicides in use, funding or provision of the tools, the herbicide and the PPE that they're using. Some sort of joint prioritisation, so we're all working towards the same goals together. And contractor support is really useful for when we're working in an area. Quite often there's really tricky sites or large sites, and getting those controlled by contractors really adds to our mahi.
So for those who aren't familiar with iNaturalist, this is how iNaturalist works. So first, a member of the public spots something interesting they've noticed in nature. So this could be a weed or a bird or a Venus flytrap consuming a gecko. They can then take a photo and upload that to iNaturalist, which creates an observation. That observation can then be added to specific projects for detailed tracking through custom observation fields.
Yeah, so observation fields are allowed to put additional data onto any iNaturalist observation. You can either add them onto your own observation or someone else's observation. We'll talk a little bit in a minute about the fields that we're using. And these can be bundled together into a project. So if someone adds an iNaturalist observation to a project, it will prompt you with the observation fields that should be filled in for that project. And we'll talk about our respective projects.
So for us as a council, a member of the public might spot some woolly nightshade in the area. They can then upload that to iNaturalist to create an observation, and then our biosecurity officer will get a notification when an observation for woolly nightshade's been detected in the area. Then either our staff or other members of the public using iNaturalist can then add that to our council project, so the Woolly Busters. And then that prompts them to fill out additional observation fields that we're using to track biosecurity management. So for the Woolly Busters campaign, when someone adds observation to the project, we collect data through our observation fields, such as infestation size, treatment status, control methods used. We also get additional data through photos, GPS coordinates, and timestamps. Then each night a Python script pulls through new data from iNaturalist and updates our ArcGIS maps, which we have two views of. We have a public map for community reporting and an internal dashboard where we can view observations alongside our management sites. And then once we get a report through, either our biosecurity manager will update those observation fields for the treatment statuses once they've gone out and treated it, or other members of the public can update those the treatment status themselves if they've treated it.
Yeah, and similarly with our community groups, a member of the public might observe a blue passion flower, take a photo, upload that to iNaturalist. That would then be notified to anyone who's watching out for those on iNaturalist. And either the original observer or someone in that community group would add it to the project and add the observation fields onto that weed. So the observation fields, we got them packaged up within a project called Weed Management Aotearoa NZ, as well as the species and location details. We track details around the size of the infestation, the difficulty of the site, expected effort, some control information, and if people just visit the weed, the current status, whether it's alive or dead, and potentially a date for next visit. That then gets synchronised hourly into our ArcGIS system, which updates the current status of the dot and will change the colour if it's been controlled. One thing with iNaturalist, it just stores the current state of the weed. There's no history in there, so we build up that history within ArcGIS of all the visits to that weed. And then the community volunteers, log into the app, or we're coming up with a public version soon that anyone will be able to access, and they'll go and visit the site and potentially control the weed and then update iNaturalist with the changes. One thing we found with updating the observation fields is actually quite tricky. You can't update someone else's observation on a mobile phone at the moment. So you have to go back and do it on your desktop and remember to do that. And then it's really clunky to do it on your desktop as well. So after about a year or so of not having a lot of traction of people updating the observation fields, we built a custom user interface. So on that field map screen there, you see the green button down the bottom, update weed status. You click on that and it pops up this little web interface that lets you fill in the control details. If you're not logged on to iNaturalist already, it prompts you to log on and uses your iNaturalist log-on to update those fields on iNaturalist. It's a fairly simple script. It's free and open source, so anyone can pick it up, and we can help you if you want to set up your own instance of that. Since we've done that, we've had much better buy-in. We even had people using it before we'd officially announced it. They just sort of saw it there and started using it. So it's been really powerful with getting updates coming through to our map. One thing that was really unexpected was when we did fill in those fields, then the original observer of the weed started getting emails from iNaturalist saying that we'd filled in these fields. So it's given us that whole feedback loop to the person that observed the weed in the first place, and that's been really great. We also recently we started adding comments onto observations when we see people have made a new Old Man's Beard observation, telling them a bit more about our system, where they can find the map, and that they'll be notified when it gets controlled or updated. And that's helped us get some really great two-way conversations going with some of the people that reported Old Man's Beard. And this was discussion we had with council. So Lisa Bennett spotted one of our blue passion flowers that's on the council's RPMP, and we had some discussion, and she was like, "Oh, great, I can see the observation fields, and they give me all the information I need." So on the left there's the observation fields within the weed management project.
So this is what the complete system looks like when both sides come together. So whether it's communities doing their own monitoring and control, or councils monitoring biosecurity threats, iNaturalist can serve as a central data hub, and the custom observation fields allow for collecting the information we need. So what are the ingredients for success? Communities. We need to celebrate our passionate individuals who can consistently go above and beyond. Their local knowledge and commitment is what drives the system forward and creates this network of observers doing citizen science. This wide area detection, this grassroots engagement creates a wide area detection that we could never achieve alone, whilst also providing education and conservation awareness. Councils. So councils provide the resources and regional oversight, and observations can integrate directly with our internal systems. When so we're on the ground, and we can validate what's happening and That also in turn informs our control strategies. Councils also help build community capacity through education and training and support. And then there's iNaturalist, and iNaturalist provides the standardised tools and data that can sync directly into GIS systems. It enables two-way communication and when results are acknowledged and contributions, then that drives engagement. And the iNaturalist is also GBIF interoperable, so complying with international data standards, and because everyone uses the same system, we get consistent and comparable data. So for us as a council, we're still in the early stages of building some more public engagement. We've done some limited Facebook advertising, and we're in the process of upgrading our website so people can access that information. But most of our public engagement happens on the ground, so when our biosecurity officer follows up on a sighting that's come through on iNaturalist, we'll go directly to that site, and most of the time that leads to them knocking on the door, asking if they can treat the weed, and then having those direct conversations. But most of these other things like workshops and community events and school competitions are all areas that we're really keen to explore. And Nigel's work, he'll explain to you, is a great example of how that can be done.
Thank you, Courtney. Yeah, so we've run quite a lot of community events, going and talking at community centres to the local community, talking at schools and universities, running working bees for people to get involved with clearing old man's beard. We haven't done so many school competitions ourselves, but certainly the moth plant people up in Auckland have done lots of pod collecting competitions and raising awareness that way, and it's something we're looking at a bit more as well. And promotions, we ran one where we were giving away prizes to random people who made iNaturalist observations, and this helped really engage the community a lot more. Along with, we put some instructions on there on how to actually report it on iNaturalist as well. And it's fairly cheap, prize to give away, but it got people engaged. This was the graph. This is the number of users reporting old man's beard on iNaturalist, and that jump from 51 to 103 was the year that we did that giveaway, along with a bit more Facebook advertising. It dropped off a little bit the next year, but it's been rising a little bit ever since, so we're getting more and more people doing that.
So for us, next steps as a council, again, we're looking to upgrade our website so that it can make resources more easier to access. But we're also looking to trial QR codes in public reserves so that people out walking can just scan and jump straight into the Woolly Buses project. We're also looking to just overall improve our interactions, so that's just acknowledging contributions and engaging with users a lot more. And we're also looking to expand our approach through iNaturalist to include more of the eradication species in our RPMP.
Yeah, and overall we'd like to see more communities and councils using iNaturalist to be able to share these observations between each other. We're keen to standardise our observation fields, and I'll be working with Courtney to standardise ones between our projects, but if anyone else is keen to be part of that exercise, let us know. And then, ultimately improving the integration between our respective GIS systems as well as iNaturalist would be really great. So, yeah, I'm not sure we've got any time for questions.
Thank you, Courtney and Nigel. Yeah, definitely no time for questions, so thank you.